Hey, Michael Dermer here from The Lonely Entrepreneur, and glad you could be with us today. We always talk about what are the top skills that you have to be able to develop as an entrepreneur to be successful in the current era. There's so much competition out there. We're bringing new ideas to the table. New ideas and solutions are always coming to our marketplaces. And so a lot of times when we're just getting started, we don't have all the capital we need. We don't have all the resources we need. And you're like, there's all these skills you have to develop. And I want to focus on one in particular, because this particular skill is actually quite counterintuitive. And the skill that I'm talking about is the fact that you can't chase every customer. When you first start a venture, you're building, you're investing money, you're feeling this kind of mix of the passion and excitement that comes with your new idea. And at the same time, you're thinking about, okay, I can't wait to start to generate some revenue. Or you might be growing a little bit and you're trying to really think about where your next revenue is going to come from. And so a lot of times our natural inclination when we're advancing our business is to be like, I'll take revenue from anywhere. As we like to say, if there was revenue on Saturn, we'd spend $1 million to build a rocket to go to Saturn to go get that revenue. And so you think that as an early entrepreneur, right, early stage entrepreneur, we're going to go wherever the revenue is, because that way, if we get the revenue, we'll get more money and that will allow us to do more of the different things that we want to do. And that's actually completely wrong. It's natural, but it's wrong. Okay. And let me tell you why. Anytime you're bringing something new to the marketplace, which we all believe that we are, there's going to be challenges. If it's something that hasn't been introduced to a market before, like rewarding people for being healthy, right? There's going to be challenges. And if you say, okay, I'm going to sell to customers whose names start with the letter A, and I'm going to go take it to that marketplace, and I'm going to go figure out how to find customers whose names start with the letter A. And then I come back and I go, well, no, they didn't like this or they didn't like that. You know what? Let's go sell to customers whose names start with the letter B, right? And we go find out where they are and we go talk to them and they're like, oh, well, they didn't like this and they didn't like that, right? Anything that you're doing that's new and innovative, there's always going to be challenges with a particular customer or particular customer segment. But if you keep bouncing back and forth from customer to customer, you never actually figure out which is the right type of customer. Okay, but then you say, okay, great, Michael, that's all fine and good, but how do I know where to start, right? What you have to do when you do all your real work, when you look at competition, when you look at your competitive differentiators, when you look at the marketplaces you're in, you've got to make that first intuitive guess that, you know what, customers that start with the letter A are really going to be our focus. And the reason why that is so important is for a couple of reasons. Number one, you have scarce resources. It may just be you. You've got to develop sales and marketing materials that speak to that customer. You've got to be able to price in a way that talks to that customer. And then you have to get a depth of knowledge and understanding of that customer, especially in a cluttered world, to be able to cut through all the noise. You've got to get intimate with that customer to understand them. And if you're like, well, but there's revenue over here, right? You're distracting yourself from the focus that it takes to really go take that customer and win it. Every type of customer in a hyper-competitive world has all these tricks and nuances to winning their business. In my old healthcare business, there was health plans and employers and governments, and every single one of them had different nuances to their business that we had to learn how to manage through. And the analogy that I want you to keep in your mind is, think about if you go to work the same way every day. I know many of us aren't going into the office anymore, but remember back in the day when people commuted all the time, if you went to work the same way every day, you get better at it. You get more efficient at it. You know where to be when there's traffic and no traffic. You know how the weather affects things. You know that it's different on Monday afternoon as it is on Friday afternoon. You get better at it and you easily adjust because you've done it over and over and over again. Imagine if somebody said to you, next week when you go to work, assuming you're going to your office, you have to take a different route on each of the 5 days. Each time you'd be figuring it out as you go. Each time you would be incredibly less efficient. So the same thing happens when we're an entrepreneur and we bounce from customer to customer, right? It's natural. It's understandable. I want to chase revenue wherever it is because we need money. What I can tell you is that when you do focus on a customer, you're able to adjust your message to that customer. You're able to adjust your marketing to that customer. You're able to learn the nuances and the subtleties of why customers buy and don't buy of that particular customer. You learn where they hang out. And then you get even deeper, right? How do I find pockets of these customers? How do I find commonalities about these customers? Do I have to make my product blue or red because of that customer? Do I have to price it differently because of that customer? Okay. By driving the same way to work every day, you're able to hone in on the nuances that are going to make your product more important and more relevant and increase the likelihood that customer is going to buy your product. If you shift and you go, I'm going to go customers whose names start with the letter B, you have to go through the very same effort with customers whose names start with the letter B. When you really start to get momentum as an early stage business, you hone in on a customer and you really nail it. You understand what appeals to them. You understand the words that work and don't work. You understand where they hang out. You understand why they buy. And you start to develop an intimacy with that customer set that allows your know-how and understanding really, really come to life. You know, a lot of these skills that we develop as entrepreneurs are really counterintuitive. It's natural to go chase revenue wherever it is. But this is an example of not being as good of an entrepreneur as you can be. And the things that actually, even though you think they're helping, they actually undermine to do it all. What we're all trying to do is to help turn our passion into success. You can say, no, I'm passionate. I'm going to go wherever customers are. And it's the discipline and the focus to not chase every customer. That is a skill set that you develop. That is one of those things about being an entrepreneur that's doing okay and an entrepreneur that's doing much better because they've honed in on that customer and really focusing on bringing them something that they value. As we always say, we're all only entrepreneurs. We're all in this together. These lessons that we learn, these skills that we develop will give us a much greater chance of turning our passion into success. And as you know, we here at The Lonely Entrepreneur always value your time that you take out of your day to listen to hopefully some of the insights that actually help you improve your chances of turning your passion into success. So thank you as always.